Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive deep into the mind of investor and philosopher Naval Ravikant to unpack a really powerful idea that most of us are playing the wrong game when it comes to building wealth and finding happiness. We're going to explore his core principles for creating real wealth and how all of that connects to the ultimate prize, which is freedom. And just so you know, this isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. It's a total rethink of how we work and, honestly, how we live.
So here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to redefine what the game of wealth even is. Then we'll get into how you can find your own unique superpower. After that, we'll talk about the engines of leverage. These are the force multipliers for your efforts. From there, we'll cover how you develop the wisdom or judgment to use all that power correctly. And finally, we'll tie it all together and talk about the real endgame, freedom.
Okay, first things first, we've got to understand the game we're actually playing. Because Naval argues that society kind of pushes us into one game, the game of status, when the real path to freedom is playing the game of wealth creation. Now, they might sound similar, but believe me, they are polar opposites. And this right here breaks it all down. Wealth? Well, wealth is a positive-sum game. Think about it. If you create a new piece of software that helps people, you're not taking anything away from anyone else. You're adding value to the world. You're making the pie bigger. Status, though, that's a zero-sum game. It's all about your rank. For you to move up, someone else has to move down. It's a fight over a fixed pie. And this quote just nails the danger of a society that's obsessed with status. Status games are all about taking a bigger slice of that pie for yourself. Wealth creation is about making a bigger pie for everyone. And, if you have too many people just fighting for rank instead of creating new value, the whole system just grinds to a halt. All right, so if the goal is to play the wealth creation game, how do you become one of the makers? How do you actually create value? Well, it all starts by finding and then really nurturing your own unique superpower, something Naval calls specific knowledge. Now, this concept of specific knowledge is absolutely central to his whole philosophy, but it's not what you think. It's not about your college major or the skills you list on your resume. No, it's something way deeper, way more personal than that. So specific knowledge is basically the stuff you can't be trained for in a classroom. It's what you find when you follow your genuine curiosity, not what's trendy right now. It usually lives on the cutting edge of fields where things are still being figured out, and you build it by getting your hands dirty, through apprenticeships, or just by teaching yourself because you're so obsessed with it that nobody else can.
Let's dig into this a little bit because the key characteristic here, the absolute most important one, is that it feels like play to you. It's that thing you do just for the fun of it, that thing you'd be messing with on a weekend anyway. Maybe it's an obsession with AI art, or you're just naturally amazing at breaking down complex topics for people. Because it feels like play, you can put in the thousands of hours it takes to become one of the best in the world, while for anyone else it would feel like a total grind.
And this whole story from Naval is just perfect. He wanted to be an astrophysicist, right? But his mom saw his natural talent for analyzing things and persuading people. The point is, sometimes the people closest to us can actually see our specific knowledge before we do, because they see what we do effortlessly that other people really struggle with. So once you have an idea for specific knowledge, applying it really comes down to two things: learning to build and learning to sell. Now, building could be anything from writing code to designing a product or creating a service. And selling is everything from marketing to hiring a great team. Naval's point here is huge. If you can master both of these, or find a partner who has the skill you lack, you become an absolutely unstoppable force. Okay, let's move on to the next piece of the puzzle, because this is where things get really powerful. Having specific knowledge is the foundation, right? But to create massive wealth, you have to amplify its impact. And that's where leverage comes in. Leverage is the force multiplier for everything you do. Think of it this way. In a regular job, your input is directly tied to your output. You work 1 hour, you get paid for 1 hour. Simple. Wealth is created when you can break that link. You want your decisions, your creativity to have a massive, outsized impact. And leverage is what makes that possible. It's what allows one good idea to create value for thousands or even millions of people. Now, leverage has changed a lot. The oldest form is labor, just having other people work for you. Then came capital, having money work for you. But both of those historically required permission. You needed someone to give you the money, or you needed people to agree to work for you. The digital age, though, has created these new forms of leverage that are revolutionary because they are completely permissionless. And this is the great equalizer.
Code and media are the leverage of our time, and anyone with a laptop can tap into them. When you write a piece of software or create a piece of content, a podcast, a video, a blog, you've built something that can work for you 24/7. It can be copied and sent to millions of people at basically zero extra cost. That's your army of robots working for you while you sleep.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. You don't just get leverage, you have to earn it. And you earn it through accountability. This means putting your name on your work, taking public risks, owning the outcomes, whether they're good or bad. It's about having real skin in the game. When you take on that kind of risk, you're basically taking an equity stake in your own efforts. And that's what positions you to capture the reward.
And this leads to a massive shift in your mindset. You stop asking, what does my boss want me to do? And you start asking, what would the owner do here? When you embrace that level of responsibility, that level of risk, you start paving the road to becoming an owner yourself.
So let's recap. You've found your specific knowledge, and you're armed with leverage. That is an incredibly potent mix, but it's also useless or even dangerous if you don't have the wisdom to apply it properly. And this is where the final, crucial skill comes in: judgment.
Naval defines judgment as just wisdom in action. It's more than just being book smart. It's the ability to see the long-term consequences of your decisions. It's about seeing the second, third, and fourth moves on the chessboard, not just the obvious first one.
And this is exactly why you see brilliant academics sometimes fail miserably in business. Pure intellect gives you confidence, but it doesn't give you credibility. Without real-world experience, without skin in the game, you're just playing with theories. True judgment is forged in the fire of experience, and is developed not just by putting in 10,000 hours, but by running 10,000 little experiments, trying things, failing, learning, and adapting fast. Now, the good news is that judgment is a skill you can actually build. You do it by reading foundational things, not just the latest business bestsellers, but timeless principles from math, science, and philosophy. You also have to learn to be detached from your emotions. There's a reason great investors are often described as being almost robotic. And this one is critical. You have to leave empty space in your calendar just to think. A back-to-back schedule is the enemy of good judgment.
And that brings us to the final, and honestly, the most important part of this entire framework. We've talked about specific knowledge, leverage, and judgment, but why? Why should we bother playing this game of wealth creation in the first place?
I mean, let's say you do it. You're rich. Now what? Is the goal a faster car, a bigger house, more stuff? According to Naval, those are all just traps. They keep you running on the hamster wheel, always upgrading your lifestyle so your expenses magically rise to meet your new income. The real goal is something way, way more profound. The real prize is freedom. Not just the freedom to buy whatever you want, but the freedom from having to do things you don't want to do. It's freedom from money problems constantly occupying your mind. It's freedom over your own time, so you can wake up in the morning and say, what do I actually feel like doing today? Ultimately, it's the freedom to be your true, authentic self.
And this quote, which Naval brings up all the time, it just perfectly captures the ultimate endgame. The true definition of being rich is when you've structured your life so that your work is your play and your passion is your profession. It's when you're no longer trading time for money, but instead you're getting paid just to be you. That is the true path to wealth and, way more importantly, to happiness.